You've probably seen the headlines absolutely screaming about GPT 5.6 lately. The leaked benchmarks, this supposedly confirmed 1.5 million token context window, and a release date that everyone and their mother claims is completely locked in. But before we get totally carried away, here's the uncomfortable truth. OpenAI has not officially announced a single piece of this. There's no blog post, there's no official model card, and zero confirmed numbers for GPT 5.6. So, welcome to AI Verdict. In this explainer, we're going on a mission to separate the actual signal from the sheer hype. We're going to break down what OpenAI has genuinely shipped, what the developer leaks actually point to, and how it all stacks up against the competition so we can see what's real and what's just pure speculation. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the confirmed AI baseline. Second, separating signal from hype. Third, the Anthropic Claude rivalry. Fourth, timeline and job impact. And finally, number 5, the hidden AI risks. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the confirmed AI baseline, because to understand the rumors, we really have to anchor ourselves in reality first. Looking at OpenAI's real, actually shipped lineup reveals a brutal, relentless release cadence. Just think about this pace for a second. GPT-5 landed in August of 2025. Then, literally just months later in April 2026, GPT-5.5 arrived, branded as their smartest model yet. And almost immediately after that, May 2026, they rolled out GPT-5.5 Instant as the new low-latency default. This is the confirmed reality we're operating in. Everything past this point, well, that's where the speculation begins. And here's why establishing that baseline matters so incredibly much. GPT 5.5 already possesses highly agentic traits. And by agentic behavior, I basically mean the model acts like a junior analyst. You don't have to babysit it anymore. You hand it a messy, multi-part task, and it goes ahead and plans the sequence, picks its own tools, and actually checks its own output without you holding its hand. GPT 5.6 is going to build directly on top of this foundation. We aren't starting from zero here, right? We're starting from a model that already knows how to work independently. All right, moving on to Section 2, separating signal from hype. Go ahead and put your speculation hats on because we're crossing the line from confirmed facts straight into the rumor mill. And this brilliantly illustrates the fascinating dynamic we have right now. Officially, total silence, crickets. There's no release date, no pricing page, no API name. But indirectly, we are seeing a massive volume of developer signals. We've got internal component code names like Ember Alpha and Beacon Alpha floating around. Developers have literally spotted a GPT 5.6 identifier flickering through internal codec logs. It's essentially like OpenAI accidentally leaving a sticky note on the fridge. Now, obviously, none of this is an official confirmation, but together it strongly suggests that GPT 5.6 is in active development. 1.5 million. This is the wildly rumored token context window for GPT 5.6, and honestly, it is a staggering leap. Just to give you some perspective on why this is generating so much excitement, GPT-5's official limit topped out around 400,000 tokens. So if this 1.5 million figure is accurate, we're looking at a context window nearly 4 times larger than the current baseline. That is huge. So what does a massive context window like that actually unlock for us? Well, it fundamentally shifts the AI from being just a simple chatbot into a full-on delegate. You aren't just giving it a single document anymore. You can feed it entire code bases in a single shot. You can hand over stacks of dense legal contracts, or literally digest several full books instantly. Extrapolate that agentic behavior we discussed earlier, and developers could be shipping complex features in days instead of weeks. Lawyers could turn rough bullet points into full contract drafts overnight. You could literally tell this model to execute a month-long marketing campaign from start to finish, finding the info, building the assets, checking its own work, the whole shebang, completely autonomously. Let's shift gears a bit for Section 3, the Anthropic Claude rivalry, because OpenAI is definitely not running this race alone. Anthropic recently shipped Claude Opus 4.8 on May 28th, with Claude Mythos reportedly right behind it. And they've planted their flag firmly on honesty. Their model is deliberately tuned to flag its own uncertainty. It will actually stop and tell you, hey, I don't actually know, rather than confidently fabricating an answer out of thin air. This is a huge direct contrast to OpenAI's relentless pursuit of raw, maximum capability. Anthropic is betting that a model you can actually trust matters way more to professionals than one that is marginally smarter but prone to just making things up. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers when you put them side by side is Claude's performance. Opus 4.8 boasts a really impressive 69.2% agentic coding score, all while running 3x cheaper in fast mode and focusing heavily on that constitutional honesty approach. Compare that to the baseline GPT-5, which costs a steep $125 in and $10 out for its 400,000 tokens, or even the legacy GPT-4o sitting at 128,000. The ultimate matchup we're going to see is whether GPT 5.6's raw, unconfirmed 1.5 million token scale and autonomy will outweigh Claude's deliberate reduction in hallucinations. Let's move to Section 4, Timeline and Job Impact, taking these abstract specs and looking at what happens when they actually hit the real world. So, looking at prediction markets like Polymarket, traders are actually putting a massive 90% probability on a GPT 5.6 release by June 30th, 2026. And honestly, if you just look back at OpenAI's historical patterns of dropping something new every 2 to 3 months, a summer or mid to late June arrival is highly plausible. Now, again, this is a pattern-based estimate, not a promise, but the trajectory is clearly pointing to weeks, not months. Now, when it does finally land, don't expect crazy fireworks on day one. Expect a quiet, tiered rollout. It's likely going to start with just a few hundred trusted partners for intensive safety testing. Then it'll filter down to ChatGPT Plus and enterprise users. And finally, if you're a developer, you'll see a new model ID quietly pop up in the API, potentially alongside a fast instant variant. That API model list, that is exactly where you should be looking to spot this first. But the moment it drops, it is absolutely going to reshape the job market. There's this incredibly revealing stat from Uber. 95% of their engineers use AI tools, but connecting that usage to actual product value remains a huge struggle. It turns out the tools are everywhere, but turning them into tangible results, that's still a uniquely human skill. As these models get increasingly capable, routine coding is going to require fewer hands. But on the flip side, we're going to see a massive surge in demand for AI engineers, directors, and data auditors who actually know how to command these systems and, crucially, spot when they're confidently wrong. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the hidden AI risks. Let's take a sobering turn here, because the hype cycle usually just completely ignores this stuff. So the crucial point is that every single capability jump brings brand new dangers. With a massive 1.5 million token context window, you face these really subtle hallucinations. The model might sound incredibly authoritative while quietly fabricating a tiny detail buried all the way on page 400 of a contract. And guys, that is so much harder to catch. We also face severe misuse, privacy and security risks, with incredibly convincing phishing and fake news. Plus, these massive models have staggering compute costs, leaving a huge carbon footprint and expensive financial overhead. But honestly, perhaps the quietest, most insidious risk is skill atrophy. Users just blindly trusting the model without ever stopping to verify its output. Which leaves us with this final, really important question. Are you building a fact-check first habit right now, or are you just memorizing leak type? Treat these models as the assistants they are, not as all-knowing oracles. Stay in the loop, verify absolutely everything, and if this explainer helped clear up the hype for you, make sure to subscribe to AI Verdict. Because the day this model actually goes live, everything changes, and we'll be right here with the